Alright, here we go. Round 2 of 500. I can talk all day. We'll have to pick some other topics though, because I think I've exhausted that one. Alright, so we have a question. What corporate job have you liked the best and why? So I'll give you a hint to the answer to that question. The word is corporate. Are they hearing me over there? I guess we're good.
I'm checking it right now.
All right. It's like asking a plumber what's his favorite toilet he's ever hooked up and gone to the septic tank with. Yeah, man, that house three years ago where I crawled underneath it and put that 3-inch GWV was really awesome.
Sorry, what's your name? Kelly. It says TA next to my name also.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's good jobs and bad jobs. I mean, it's more about the dudes I work with more than anything else. That's what makes a good job. The work is the work. The pipes are the pipe. The electrical stuff is the electrical stuff. I mean, it's just, it's really about what team you're on. Is everybody learning? Is everybody supporting me when I screw up? Does everybody throw me under the bus? Does my boss give me time off and more pay? That's more what matters. At the end of the day, like I said, you are moving data from one place to another, showing it to users, letting them change it, and moving it back to where it was. It's literally the job. So, sure, I've enjoyed some places more than others. I really enjoyed working with this man for 3 years. That was my formative years, and that was the most enjoyable thing. Of course, we were making cigarettes. So, but the actual people were the best part. So, find a good place to be. What else? We've thought about it a little bit. Anything? If you guys don't ask questions, we got to start coding. So.
Repeat the question.
How long did it take me to find my first job? I don't know if I come across as aggressive, but I am very aggressive. I didn't take me any time at all. I just called like 30 places and somebody said, yeah, come on in. And I volunteered at Senior Services, and that's the way it worked out. I used my connections. It's all about who you know. It's not what you know. Right? Y'all heard that before, right? I don't know nothing, so it's who I know. And that's opens the doors. So, there's I've never done any stuff like this, but isn't there local developer things that you could start going to if you could talk about any of that?
Derek, one of the feature instructors, is actually a speaker.
He's a speaker there. So there's things like that. There's organizations, communities. Like I said, use your connections, use your family, use people you know, see if anybody needs help. Just get that stuff on your resume and pump it up. Get that first job. That's all that matters. I think we're good. Okay. All right. So let's practice what I tried to preach. And so what that means is I'm going to give you a job.
All right.
And a CV is like a really fancy word for resume. And so I'm going to say resume. So I'm your boss, and I'm going to give you vague instructions with limited amounts of information. And I don't care what you do as long as you accomplish the mission. So the intent here is for you to build your resume, right? That's pretty cool. So we're going to do that using HTML and CSS. So we're going to do it my way, which is the dumb guy way. So for right now, we're not going to use editors, if that's okay. If we're not going to use editors, we're not going to be on Amazon Web Services. We're not going to be doing Ruby. We're going to be doing Notepad. Everybody know how to get to Notepad on your computer? No. If you don't, Google it. And I want everybody to Google right now. I'm serious. How do I get to Notepad? I am serious. Type that into Google, and I want somebody to prove me wrong. And it's going to happen, I guarantee it. I'm going to say something stupid, and I'm going to prove myself wrong by saying it out loud.
Click on Start, where the windows were.
Bam! Not only do you not even have to click on the results? It gives you step-by-step instructions on how to find it.
If it works.
Are we good?
Totally.
All right, let's open Notepad. Everybody know your name?
Try.
I want you to type your name, address, phone. Just type real fast. Let's put it on new line. So you open up Notepad here, I'll probably.
You're not going to be able to hear if you walk down.
Oh, yep. I need to not move from the. All right. David Riggins. I am a fireman. Man. Oh, I hit a button. All right. 336 655 6804 for a good time. Then big rig at gmail.com. All right. Too easy, right? You guys have written your first software program. All right. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to have to sit down. Now the intent here is that we're going to make this like a web page with HTML and CSS, and we're going to put it up on the web, right? But we're going to do it the easy way, which is we're going to type it in Notepad. So I know we know HTML, right? Some of us do, some of us don't. I'm not sure where we're starting. I don't want to say anything like, I don't want to get too easy here, but you know, basically, how would you, anybody not know how you would go ahead and make this an HTML document right now?
They haven't learned that yet.
They haven't.
It's all you.
They have not. Okay. All right. Guess what? File. Save as. My resume. I guess that's French. .html. Bam! I have made that a web document. How do we feel?
Really good.
All right. Good so far, right? All right. We're learning. All right. So why do we have HTML? Well, who cares? Why? What's the point? Why can't I just have my web server give me that? David Riggins, fireman. Why can't I just have it come back from that? You know, you go up to Google's website. Why do I need all this fancy stuff to come around? Why make this complicated? Why add all these tags in, right? Well, that's white with, you know, black letters, and you know, what if I want to make that pink? Can I do that in Notepad? Can I make a web browser? I need to communicate, right? We have to have this common vernacular, this common taxonomy, these common languages, right? Right now I'm speaking, you know, sort of English, right? And we've all learned this stuff, but really that's like a weird thing. It has sentence structure, it has periods. Why do we have a period? We know where to stop, right? Why do we have paragraphs? They contain topics, right? Why do I use names? Why do I address certain people in certain ways? It's a way to make language work, right? It's a way for you to understand what I'm saying to you and you to understand back to me. It seems really simple, but it's super complicated. You know, anybody who's learned a foreign language can understand that, you know, Spanish people speak backwards. It's weird. Right? All right. Well, same thing. You got, you know, crazy smart people in the 1980s or whatever. I don't know all the history of computers or nothing, but they sat down and said, okay, well, you know, we have DOS, so it's black background with white letters, and you can get on the BBS systems and you can get the words back and forth. But how do we start adding images in? How do we start formatting this stuff? How do we start talking smarter? Right? And that's what HTML is for, is so you can talk smart. That's what it does. It takes that junk and makes it pretty. How do you organize it? How do you make it into tables? How do you add in cat pictures? How do you, you know, that kind of thing, right? You guys are way removed from that. Way removed. When you're looking at Google, I bet half of you didn't even know there was HTML behind that until yesterday. I'm not saying, yeah, I don't know, maybe you knew that. But, like, right, it's crazy, right? There's a whole language going on behind there that everybody in all of the world speaks that you don't know. And your web browser is your, universal communicator. That's what it does. It communicates and it translates this crazy thing we're fixing to do, which is, here we go, HTML. So we're telling everybody right now, I'm speaking English. How do I tell you I'm speaking English? I speak English. Too easy, right? But here, we're talking about stupid computers. Computers are dumb. They're light switches. You turn them on, you turn them off, right? You got to turn, it's 3 million transistors, or more than that, probably 5 million, 50 million, whatever it is. It's transistors. It's ones and zeros. It's off, on. So you're much smarter than this computer. I guarantee it. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to communicate, and you got to tell them what language you're working in. Hypertext, markup, language, English. That's it. So what do I do after that? Because it's a stupid computer, I got to say, hey, I'm done talking. Right? Because he don't know when you stop talking. The light switch is still on. All he's got is on, off. You just turned him on. Got to turn him off. Right? All right? That on, off right there, there's a couple of ways to turn the switches on and off, but that's the core. If you open something, you got to close it. You're going to learn that in HTML. Right? And I know some of us got HTML down pat, and y'all should be working ahead so that I can come around and be impressed. Right? If you got all this, you should be done by now. Right? You should be working ahead. All right. So, I can do all kinds of crazy stuff right here, right? Let me get my examples up because I can't remember anything. All right, so what I'm going to do is I can do, well, my name is the most important thing because I want them to remember that. H1. Somebody give me the crazy answer to what I need to do next. Bam! Too easy, right? All right. You guys should be working ahead. Shouldn't be listening to the dumb guy do this stuff. You're already done. All right? Your boss gave you a job. You don't need to be doing this. Y'all need to just do all the easy stuff, right? Look at all this here. All right. Strong for firemen. Strong. I'm 42 years old. Yeah, strong. I got to tell myself that over and over again when I'm crawling around the floors with all them 25-year-olds. All right. Italics. And then it, yeah.
The strong and bold.
Sounds good to me. What would you do to answer a question like that, you think? What would you do to answer a question like that? You got another tab. What you do is you come to this tab right here. Let me Google that for you.com. And then you say, is the HTML tag I? There you go. So you go to Google. I bet it comes up pretty good. What does the I tag do? I don't even think I can't even type. Bam! Too easy.
You didn't answer the question.
I did. I said go to Google. That's always the answer.
Oh.
All right. So, I'm going to use, do something special right here. So y'all should go ahead, put all kinds of CV information in there. Some of y'all should have paragraphs of information about places that you've worked. You should have, past romances. I don't know what you guys put on your resumes. Nobody reads them anyway. I used to put all kinds of weird stuff on there. All right. I want somebody to Google how to make your email a tag, like I just did right here. Do that real quick. Somebody get the answer. Tell me how to make my email clickable. Who's got it? Raise your hand. Hey, all right. Everybody's got it? Put your email in your thing. Make it happen. Before I give you guys all the answer right here. Oh, am I not? Here, let me do, yeah. Let me do this here. Format, font, 18. How's that? Better? Sorry about that. It looks really big on my computer. All right. I can't type save my life either. The only software developer I've ever met that doesn't know how to type. All right. So guess what? Y'all ready to load this up on a high-powered, futuristic, cutting-edge web server? All right. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna sit File, Save, and if I can remember where I saved this at, I'm gonna double-click. Bam! Web server complete. I just loaded that. Why does that work?
It's just reading the text file.
Yeah. It's just HTML. It's just a language. You don't need a web server. I mean, you need a web server if you actually really want to do this for real. But when we're developing as developers, we can prototype. I'm using keywords here. On our local machines, and then deploy. Right? That's important. NASA doesn't build a spaceship in space. They do it on the ground, and they test it out first, and then they put it up in space. So that's what we're doing right here. So, you know, what's wrong with what I've got right here? Looks like crap. Right? I'm a terrible developer. So what do I need to do? Anybody have any thoughts?
Line breaks.
Say again, one at a time.
Line breaks.
Line breaks. What else? Center it. Cool, yeah. Cat pictures. Yeah? You guys don't build resumes with cat pictures? No wonder I have all the jobs. All right. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to do some other stuff. How about a table? Anybody thought about what the table, what do I need to do for a table? Anybody know what the tag is for a table?
Table.
Table. This is super hard stuff, guys. Make sure you're writing this down. Sorry. Did anybody write that down? All right. Table. It's hard. It's tough. All right. So that's all I got to do, right? All right. Let's see what happens. Everybody else experimenting along with me?
Retract your
Huh?
close tag.
I got my close tag, right? What? What's wrong with that? I got to have a backslash? So a backslash right here? How's that look? Huh? Forward slash. You telling me the wrong thing. You're setting me up for failure. All right. I should Google it, but I'm lazy. And I'm the instructor, so I don't have to do anything. All right. Oops. What else? Somebody Google how to put a table in an HTML document, guys. Save my life here.
TR.
I'm drowning. TR. Table row. How about that? Let's give that a shot. TR. I'm going to put a bunch of TRs here. I'm going to stop the suffering.
Copy paste.
Hey, there you go. A woman after my own heart. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying, right? Copy. Paste. You know what I would actually do is go online and I would Google HTML resume and I would go find somebody else's HTML resume. Did somebody do that yet? And then I would go in and fill out their information, and then I would have already pulled it up and showed it to Allie and be like, I just wrote all this. Nobody did that. Oh well. Hackers, guys, that's what you want to be. Stop doing this stuff in hard mode. Just kidding. Do it in hard mode for now so you can learn what you're doing. All right, that didn't work either. I'm just awful here. Got to close it. How we doing with learning how to learn? Does it make sense? Do I need to talk about that a little bit more? All right. Table row. In the table row. I'm getting lost here. One thing to think about is, as I'm making serious mistakes right here in front of everybody, is, you know, your formatting really matters. How you arrange things. You need to be, you could be sloppy in all kinds of things, right? But one thing you probably don't need to be sloppy on is how you write your code. And that's, the reason because of that is because future you will hate you. And I hate myself so much because I have gone back into code and literally wanted to quit my job because I have set myself up for failure so much. And each language kind of has its own pizzazz when it comes to building things. But in Notepad, you're kind of set up, you just kind of got to do it on your own, right? So it kind of teaches you a little bit how to, what makes sense, right? So I'm going to do that a little bit here. I'm going to add in some tab, or like tab structure right here. I can hit tab twice. That's kind of nice. That makes it a little easier to read. Readability, reusability, those things are pretty important. So I could copy and paste all this stuff, or copy and paste parts and pieces of it when I want to cheat on the next task the boss gives me. I'll just go and copy code out of my super cheating code library or Google. All right. Man, still nothing.
You get an extra TR tag.
I do, don't I? Where at? I don't think I... Oh, at the end. Oh, jeez. There you go. Notepad fail. Probably still ain't gonna work. Still nothing. Did I save it? There you go. Yeah, I do Control S. File, save. All right. Messy. Anybody got table working yet? What you got?
It's like all mishmashed.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Yeah. Let me see your code.
Oh, you're so fancy. I'm so fancy.
You stole that code.
I didn't steal, I wrote it.
Where'd you get that at?
I made it. What'd I do?
Very nice. Well, so what is a row?
Row.
It's a row.
Yeah, I'm stupid. Okay, I got
Right?
it. Yeah,
You need columns.
I got columns.
Yeah?
Gotta need the columns.
So maybe if I kind of went in here and...
Do TR and TH.
Okay. Who else has got... Who's got the table working?
Oh, I did TH there. Okay, I fixed it.
Cheating. I've got all the answers over here. And I still can't type it out right. Here's somebody helping somebody. That's awesome. Anybody have any thoughts on what TH means? Gold star.
As opposed to T, D,
Call 'em.
what's it called?
Yeah, they ran out of words. Can't do C, I guess. I'm sure there's some really smart guy things about that. No idea what it means. You remember TD? What D means?
Cell.
Table, cell. So yeah, there's a lot of D's in the word cell. I'm gonna cheat here. Rows do I have here? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. If anybody's watching, I'm doing a lot of cheating up here. All right. Feel better? Feel better? Yeah. All right.
It's painful to watch.
It's painful, especially since I'm using this like laptop thing with the pad. I can't stand any of this stuff. My fingers are gigantic. Yeah. That looks better. Is everybody else done? Table structure. I'm gonna make it a little bit smaller here. If anybody doesn't like that, you can Google it. Guess that's becoming a euphemism. All right. All right. Let's take a look at that. It's kind of. I'm gonna structure it out here a little. I'm gonna try a little bit more. Try not to watch me program. It's super painful, especially in Notepad with a gigantic laptop keyboard and my big fat fingers. All right. So this is kind of sort of makes sense. Let's see if I mess anything up here. All right. Doesn't really make sense, but it gets us cooking the chicken in the pot, right? So, you know, we have communicated via our weird non-English language from one computer to another computer. Anybody know what the cloud is? It's just a bunch of computers in a room. It's really not special. It's just a bunch of computers. So, you know, Internet Explorer or Chrome or Firefox or Safari or I don't know, onion routers. What else? There is, you know, they just interpret this language into this format. That's all we're really doing. And there are 150,000 million tags that you need to learn tonight. So go ahead and get on that. Right? So I'm going to cover some of the most important ones right now. Table is incredibly important. tables are important not just for displaying information, but for organizing information. Because they might not always see the table. They might not always care. You might go to sites and think that it's just really fancy, but I was already there. But really, it's just tables. So there's table structures and div structures and span structures and paragraph structures and those kind of things that, you know, give you all kinds of different ways of formatting your data, centering the image, which is a lot of what we're doing right here with Google.com. They're centering the image. They want to make that text box fall right under there with so many pixels of space. They probably spent 1,000,000 hours building this one plain site. You want to make these buttons look a certain way. Anybody have any thoughts on how they make these buttons look a certain way?
There's padding.
Okay, padding is great. Where does padding come from? What language,
HTML.
if we want to call it that?
Cascading style sheets.
Cascading style sheets, straight up CSS. So not only in the internet's infinite wisdom, not only do we have to go in here and learn HTML to take our plain text resume and make it format correctly, now we got to make things pretty. Ugh. Right? It's painful. So in a lot of companies, what they do is they build websites in like image editors, and they'll have graphic artists come in and build the websites in, and what they'll give the web developers is actual images. And they'll say, hey, make the website looks like this image that I painted. That's great. Well, that ain't in HTML, is it? That's in like pixels and bits and stuff. How do I go from, anybody have any thoughts on how I would take an image that came from marketing? Those guys?
Put it as like a PNG and then make it into table or rows and columns and figure out where to place it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's where you'd start. You'd literally start right here. And then you would start like, has anybody ever...
Size, you have to know the size of it and put in the size as well.
Has anybody ever gone to Paint? I'm on Paint right now. And done this stuff right here, where you can go and sample, use this little sample deal right here, and you can open that up, and then you can come over here and edit colors. Guess what it gives you right there? The RGB.
Right.
So I have literally spent hours on freaking marketing images, going and sampling the images to get the RGB to put it into CSS. Painful. But that's what an engineer does. That's what a plumber who plumbs toilets to the septic tank does. That's what you do. So we're going to do that. So I'm going to go. All right, let me get oriented here with my example so I don't say stupid stuff any more than usual. All right.
Before you move on from this, could you point out the columns and the rows and what?
Yeah. So what I got right here is a row, which this is the only HTML tag that kind of makes sense, is RTR for row. Then I have header, table header. So if I wanted to put like if I was doing a bunch of data from a database and I wanted the column database names right there, like ID and first name, last name, whatever, I could do that right there. Then right here we have to have the actual column inside the row, and TD is the column. And then here's the header 1. And actually, if you think about it, this comes from Microsoft Word. Has anybody seen header 1, header 2, header 3? That's kind of similar kind of stuff. So I could come in here and go from header 1 down to 2, down to 3. Then strong, italics, and then an A tag is a link. And I'm linking that to Big Rig, whatever. So I got a bunch of HTML, other HTML stuff that I'm going to inject in here. Anything else you want me to go over? Go ahead.
So I want to point out that go ahead and put
I got a bunch
text
more
in
HTML.
your first row. and then
Yeah.
re-render. You'll see what I'm talking about.
Oh, for the headers?
Yeah, so you've got 4 columns and you've got 4 rows.
Yeah.
There's nothing in the other 3 rows.
Right.
They just didn't want
Yeah.
them to get confused.
Yep, I got you. Probably need. I'm mixing my metaphors here a little bit, but. So if I wanted to, I'm going to rewrite this here, so it makes more sense. So that I don't. Let's do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cheat.
Render that and show them how
Okay.
it looks
Yeah.
bad.
Yep, I'll do that. Easy enough to show you how it looks bad. Right, so there's ID, last name, first name, whatever. And if I wanted to do something real quick, I could go to F12, which I know Allie talked about this morning, but F12 is your bestest friend in the whole wide world. And I'll say that, like, yeah, we're doing HTML and CSS right now, and that's kind of your basic languages to learn. But every language I have ever written has had some sort of interface to HTML, CSS. If you're doing C#, guess where you're going to be spending a whole lot of time? HTML, CSS, making stuff look pretty. Because you might write a C# application, but what's your presentation? Right? Any thoughts? How are you going to present this massive application you just wrote for, the company you're working for? You wrote it in C#, but 99.9% of the time, the presentation of the application is in a web browser. You're going to be writing some sort of web interface for that. So when you're going through this stuff, don't think you're learning it just because we need to start somewhere to teach you things. And HTML is the easiest thing to teach you. No, you'll use this in every language you learn. Ruby, whether it's C#, whether it's JavaScript, whatever language you learn, somehow or another you're going to interface HTML a lot of the time, and JavaScript and CSS. So I'm hitting F12 right here just to circle back, and I can kind of see the table right here by going through. I want everybody to do this. I want everybody to know what that F12 button is. That's really, really important right here. So everybody see that? How did I hit F12? Everybody's got F12 up. Anybody have any problems with that? Everybody see the table structure by highlighting all the different parts and pieces? Anybody want to see something cool? That's pretty cool. So if I want to come in here and make some changes, I can do that.
I want to explain that's temporary.
It's temporary. So let me show you how it's temporary. I'm on Google's site right now, right? And I did this at Wells Fargo for one of my bosses, and I went in there and changed some stuff, and he was like, "Oh my God, did you just change the production server?" It's like, "No, boss, I didn't do that."
No boss.
So I can go to F12 on Google's site, and you can see they got a whole bunch of crap in here. But let me try to do this correctly. I'm highlighting it, right? I go in here, and I can remove the image. Bam. Boom, I just rewrote Google. That's pretty cool, right? I'm a hacker. Just hack their systems. But it's a very powerful tool in all kinds of ways. It's actually ridiculously powerful. Because if you think about it, it's your web browser, and it has an HTML debugger, a CSS debugger, and a JavaScript debugger all built in to the developer tools. And live in production, you can go in and tweak it. You don't even have to go back to your code. You can go in here and change CSS. You can go in here and change HTML, get it looking right in the browser, and then come back. Now, I'm teaching you the dumb guy ways, and that's important, but they're going to teach you some more integrated development environments that do this stuff in the integrated development environment and do a little bit better way of doing this stuff. But I'll tell you right now, there's been a whole lot of times when I'm in Notepad live, in real jobs, because it's just easy and simple, and I look really cool when I do it. So, if you don't know what you're doing, look good doing it. right. So that's cool. Let me. That's a good point. Let me just. I got some things here before I move too far ahead of myself. All right. There is some. Let's talk about the HTML like real tags part of things. So, you know, we're talking about the table and we're talking about like tag stuff, and I think you kind of get all that. But there's some like HTML communication layer level stuff where it's like, what kind of document are you? What is the title of your document? Would you like the web browser to pull in all the text from your document and do search engine optimization? You know, there's all kinds of stuff like that. So let's talk about that a little bit more before I skip ahead too far into CSS. Is that kind of, I'm just not sure how much people know or don't know. Or
Assume nothing.
yeah, okay. There you go. Too easy. All right. So this is a terrible HTML document. It doesn't have a whole lot of stuff we're missing. So let's talk about some of the housekeeping things we probably need to have in here. We probably need to have the doc type, and that is something that I don't generally care about. It's important, I'm sure, for some smart person reason, but I think this is kind of a, is it a throwback or is it something that's brand new? You don't have to do it anymore, I think. Yeah.
It says this is the flavor of HTML.
Yeah, but yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about that one. We can have a head. What am I doing wrong?
Sometimes I don't know if you do it on purpose.
No, let's make it messy. Tell me I'm wrong, please. Go ahead. I'm actually just copying off mine. No.
What's wrong with that?
Are you sure?
You don't do it yet.
Will it work?
Oh, no, the HTML is at the beginning.
No.
No, they're going to put the head underneath.
Where HTML is should be where your head is.
Yeah, the head is usually under the HTML.
Yeah, but will it work?
Probably, but it's not.
You can find out.
Let's find out. Google it. No, I'm turning that into a euphemism. I need to stop saying it.
Have a shirt.
So it's very forgiving. You know, you don't want to write this way, and I'm not trying to prove a point. I actually just did that wrong. But it's probably the best thing for training. But it doesn't give you any errors. Let's see what happens when I do F12. That's pretty cool. So I can be pretty super dumb. That's pretty cool. This is my kind of language. Yeah. It actually, all right.
Do you not need to close the doc type HTML?
It's a special.
Yeah, I don't use it. Yeah, so you know, generally, I mean, writing HTML from scratch is not normal. Okay, you know what we're doing right here is just kind of me just trying to crawl phase things, just trying to keep it super simple and make some mistakes and stuff like that. But generally, you're going to, there is so many, you could go on the web right now and there are live HTML builders on the web that will generate HTML documents like you wouldn't believe. I would never write this stuff from scratch. Ever do that. That is way too much. I mean, they're paying you X amount of dollars per hour. If you're wasting your time writing stuff from scratch, you're wasting their money, right? Don't waste their money. Go cheat, right? If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. All right, but it's important to understand kind of the components, parts, and pieces here. So I'm going to totally do this right now. So HTML head, title goes in the head. Right. I do have an example over here because I'm trying to think and talk at the same time. I'm doing it all wrong. No. All right. So it is forgiving. There is kind of cool stuff.
Still missing the tag.
I'm sure I am. Title, HTML. Got the head. You need a body. All right. So the body. Do I need the body? No, I don't. I just totally proved you guys wrong. I win. No, yeah, you definitely want the body. I don't know why, but you definitely want to put that in there.
Some browsers are more forgiving than others.
Some are. That is very true. It's getting less and less, though. All right, so let's see how. Yeah, totally changes it. There we go. All right, it's awesome. Good job, guys. All right. Let me get to my next example. Let me go through here so I don't say anything else stupid. All right. I think I got that part. I got that part. Divs and spans and A's and P's. We can do all that kind of stuff as part of it. Let's do divs are probably my favorite. I would say divs are probably the most popular thing. I don't know. What a div, I'm going to say this in a non-technical way. A div is like a container, and you can do things with it. And you can put your junk in it, and you can move it around, and you can make it bigger and smaller, and it's like a container for all your stuff. You guys, you know, if you ever, I don't know, if you do tabs, if you make like everything in like maps, there's just all kinds of crazy stuff, and you're just going to do divs. So let's do a div instead of talking about it. All right. So it's really very complicated, and it's outside the body. So what I'm going to do here before Allie comes over and chokes me to death is I have a really hard time talking and doing this stuff all at the same time.
I think we just playing.
So I am, let's see, there's all kinds of other stuff over here before I get too far. Paragraph. I'm going to get some test language over here. I want somebody to Google test text into Google. I want y'all to do that real quick. And I'm going to do that in front of everybody else. Am I outside the body? No, I'm good. Somebody comes over here and kills me. Usually when I'm coding, there's no audience, there's no one around me, I'm in a very quiet room with Rage Against the Machine playing, and I can make all kinds of mistakes and nobody notices that I don't know what I'm talking about. It's very cool. Alright, go to Google. I'm going to refresh Google here real quick. So there's all kinds, there's test text, there's test data. If you want to test, you know, CSV worth of data, you can get all that. I'm just going to come in here and copy paste some test text here real quick. All right. Cool. So right now it seems like, yeah, okay, old man, why do I really care about all these divs? Why do I care about all these parts and pieces and paragraphs? Good question. Basically, we're going to be able to contain these things later. So when we get into CSS, when we get into JavaScript, we're going to use these containers to change the formats, to change the backgrounds, to move things around. JavaScript is all about the browser. Move things on the browser. Has everybody really thought about how Google Maps is crazy futuristic and we probably shouldn't have that right now and it's from the future?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
And it doesn't even like reload and I can scroll right to Antarctica and for some reason see stuff. That's in the browser. That stuff just, it blows my mind. Well, the reason they're being able to do all that kind of stuff is because they're using HTML, they're using containers, they're using CSS, they're using JavaScript, and that's kind of the end state of what you can do with all of this stuff you're learning. So yeah, why do I use a P tag? Why do I use an A tag? Why do I do all these things? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense right here. It will as soon as I put another paragraph of stuff in there. But just think about it in the larger sense. We're in the crawl phase of the crawl, walk, run phase, right? So we need to crawl through this stuff and kind of learn the little tags. And then by the Friday, we'll have our own Google Maps, right? So we should be good. All right. So I'm going to go grab another, if I didn't just screw all that up. There we go. I'm going to put another P tag right here of text. You guys need to probably not be doing what I'm doing. Probably need to be doing your own resume. That's kind of the task, right? So you can put test text in there if you want to. So see how that made it all nice and formatty right there? Let me take those out. All right, let me put that right there. Let's see the before and after here. Oh, you know what would be even better? Let me do both. All right. So before, no P tag. And after, no P tag. All right. What's the difference? Yep. Too easy, right? Formatting. All right, so I'm going to take that unformatted stuff out. These things, I forget what is the parameter. Maybe it's div that has the width.
And then within head, you can put all your styling lists on
Let's just try it here.
for everything. I'm so, I was gonna put it below the table top. I was gonna move it later. We just put this here.
Well, we could.
Well, let's see what that looks like. And then where is it saved at? Where'd you put it? Right there.
Nah, that's not gonna work. I don't want to get this CSS yet.
This is the only thing I know. I don't know what's going on. I haven't done this since like 5th grade. Okay.
Yeah, let's do 250. All right, everybody take a tactical pause and let's take a look at what I got right here. My crap coding live. All right, so I put the test text, and I got a couple of different containers, right? I got a div, I got a p tag right here, which is cool. I've got, and then what I did, anybody have any ideas what I did there on the div right there? Okay, why do I have to do that? Wouldn't it be really nice if I could just do what I tried to do before I remembered I couldn't do it? Right? Can't do that. Some things you can, like table structures you can do with, but you can't do that on those. So CSS, think of it like HTML needs to be pretty simple. So they came up with like a basic HTML language as a structure. Anybody ever heard of XML? Extensible markup language? Mm-hmm. HTML, I'm glad he's not in here because I could say all kinds of lies, but HTML is a derivative of XML, which means XML, you can make up your own XML if you want to. You know, I've done that many times. When I need to communicate from a regular machine to a mainframe or something like that, we'll just sit there with a mainframe program and I'll be like, hey, guys, what we're going to do is, let me do this, save. We're going to say the first tag is David is awesome, right? And of course we have to have a close tag, all right? So, you know, it's like a basic definition, and then in here we're going to list my awesome attributes, right? Attribute type equals live coding in front of people. That's my main attribute. All right. But it's kind of a thing we just agree on, right? I talk to the mainframe programmer. I'm going to say small keyboards. All right. So I'm not going to go in and build this huge like web browser stylizing language inside of HTML, right? Because it's like its own thing. It's separate. Let's say mouse pads. Okay, but it's just something we agree on. So now I send this text string to the mainframe programmer. Guess what he does? He receives the text string, he manipulates it, and he inserts my attributes into the mainframe. And now the 1980s COBOL programming that runs all the banking systems can pay me my ACH money for doing this terrible job today, right? So that is my ham-fisted way of explaining why CSS exists. I'm sure there's real like technical reasons, but in my experience, it's separate things, right? HTML is a way of structuring the data of the web page, and CSS is a way of stylizing it, and the CSS is meant more for the browser as opposed to HTML, but can be used by all kinds of crap. It could be used by Windows services if you really care. You know, it could be used by all kinds. It doesn't have to be used by web browsers. So CSS is kind of a specific language in and of itself that you guys should go ahead and try to memorize tonight and go ahead and start learning how it is. Now, so sometimes CSS, let me get back to my notepad here. What did I do? Did I mess myself up? Yeah. Did I say no? That's all right. I have it saved somewhere else, I think. Yeah. All right. All right. Yeah. So you can do little ad hoc CSS right here. I wouldn't create a whole CSS page just for this. If I just need to quickly do some stuff, I'd just put a style tag into a tag, right? A style attribute into a tag. That's what I would do. And that's just kind of how I would roll with it.
What about for like standardization?
Standardization.
So wouldn't it be easier to make like a quick style or class that says margin quarter way?
In the real world, what's going to happen is you're going to walk into an organization and they're going to say, here's our CSS file. Don't ever do anything but this, because this is our branding. And branding is super important, both internal and external to our organization. And that's exactly what's going to happen. And can you do your own thing? Absolutely. Just don't tell anybody. But now, that's corporation kind of stuff.
Sure.
There's a lot of things that Allie is going to talk about later, like Twitter Bootstrap. There's a lot of like cheating things that you can do. You can go out to the web and pull down gigantic CSS files that will automatically make all your stuff look like you're a genius. And you just say, yeah, I wrote that. Right? So there's all kinds of things like that. You got to separate it out of here, because this is the first way you're going to do it. This is kind of the ad hoc CSS, if you will, the quick and dirty. And then I'm going to come up here into the head, and I'm going to put a style tag up here. This is another way of doing it for the whole entire page. And so what's the difference, right? I'm going to kind of write it out while I'm talking here, which is going to be terrible. I'm probably going to do something wrong, so please tell me if I'm doing it wrong, because I'm not an expert at this. But bear with me, I got an example here, so I don't do it completely stupid. Let's do it. Sorry, I gotta pull up my old example here very quick.
I have a question about
Go ahead.
creating IDs for divs.
Mm-hmm.
Is this just like a standard best practice, or are you doing it for a purpose to call back to it later?
I was hoping you didn't notice. So you can give pretty much everything in HTML an ID. Could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure that's right. And when we get into CSS and JavaScript and that kind of stuff, you're going to see, you're going to reference these things. So we're kind of slowly getting into programming, like real live programming, because eventually we need to get to JavaScript, right? So right now we're talking about HTML, but we're slipping into CSS a little bit, which is describing things. And in order to, or formatting things, in order to format things, we need to know which one of these p tags am I talking about. So I might say, let me just make that make more sense here real quick. So I got two p tags, right? So I might call this one P Dave's manifesto. I can't even spell Dave's here. And then I might come down in here, and the next p tag I might call Dave's, let's call this Jeff's list. So this is one of those patterns that I was speaking about earlier. So the pattern here that kind of slides us into programming just a touch is that I have in my code, if you will, two elements that I have named. And once you give something a name, it makes it important. I could probably have 500 p tags in here with no name, right? And it won't matter. But once I give it a name, it means I care about it. It means I'm going to do something to it. I'm going to give it a color. I'm going to move it around. I'm going to hide it until somebody says something, right? So by giving things a name, I am creating a variable, if you will. Now, these aren't true words, and I'm glad he's not in here. But, you know, I'm trying to give it to you in like some basic terms, right? A lot of the times when you're going to go out in the real world and a year from now you're going to be like, God, what was he talking about? He lied the whole entire time. What I'm trying to do is keep it in language that you can understand and try to relate it as much as I possibly can. So if you find me out to be a liar later on, please forgive me. But, you know, it's kind of like a variable, if you will, because I'm containing something and I need to do something with it later.
So that you can call that.
I can call it, right? And that works the same in C# as it does in assembler, as it does in HTML, as it does in JavaScript, as it does in whatever. This is your proto variable. This is your, you know, if you will.
So I have another
Please.
question.
I'm not doing a very good type teaching. I'm doing better answering questions.
So when we're within the first div there, right, the style one for David's container, the actual order you put those in there
Don't matter.
Right? So you can have ID then style.
The pattern matters. The
So-
equal sign, the open quote, the semicolon, the colon, all that matters.
Is there a best practice to make it easier, like say put the ID before you put the class or before you put
I'm sure there is.
style?
And I have never been in a job where anybody has ever given me any standards whatsoever.
Sure. Okay.
The only standard is get it done under budget as quick as you possibly can, and as long as it passes QA, I do not care how crappy the code is. Right? Now, that's a little bit of a lie, but I'm making a point. I have had code review. I have had other bosses look at my stuff and be like, hey, I need you to completely rewrite all this stuff because it's really terrible. But, you know, I would say as a general rule, number one, you're not going to be building stuff like this because you're going to be stealing it from somewhere else, or you're going to be using a generator, or you're going to be using an integrated development environment in order to build this.
Sure.
So we're in the crawl phase, and in the walk phase, you're going to see stuff like that with real smart dudes who probably have this stuff a little bit more handled. But for the purposes and intents here of your question, I would say no, it don't matter, nobody cares. As long as the pattern is the same. Does it have a space between div and style? Do you have a semicolon? Do you have ID? Are you using the proper attribute for that tag? Does that tag actually have that attribute? And how would you figure all that junk out?
Google.
Google it, yeah. Show me an example, right? Right.
So you may have answered this already, but there's when you let's see, let's see there, but like let's say I have a heading and then I want to center it. I know that I can do a line and then we'll center in HTML.
Mm-hmm.
So is there a reason why I would do that in HTML as opposed to reading and then doing it in CSS?
Great question. Real world. Oh, okay. The question is, when would I use an attribute of an HTML tag versus using CSS? And the example was in header 1, if I want to align it, would I use the attribute of the header 1 HTML tag instead of using the style attribute and align it with CSS? I think I got it. Okay. So tactically there's no difference, right? You know, that you may be able to, some browsers may interpret the CSS differently than they interpret the attribute of the HTML. But realistically, I don't like CSS inside the HTML. It already sucks looking at code. I hate looking at it, especially if it's not mine. I already hate whoever wrote it. You know, as soon as I open it up, the more you can do to make people hate you less, the better, is my philosophy. And in that vein, when you do a style tag up at the top, you're separating things out, compartmentalizing. I'm going to throw a big $10 word in there. Compartmentalizing things, whether it's CSS or JavaScript, or you're splitting C# into multiple different files, whatever you're doing to compartmentalize makes me hate you less, because it's less I have to go through to find things that I need to fix. Yeah, so don't litter multiple languages inside of each other. It's awful. Try to pull things out if you can. I even hate style tags. I don't want to write any of this stuff. I want it to generate, number one, I want it to use the most off-the-shelf stuff I possibly can. I want to steal it from the internet. I want to have this all generated from, you can see how terrible I am at this. I want all of this stuff to be done as easy and simple and quick as I possibly can. I want to be able to set up a website for a customer and have everything kind of prototyped in a day. No joke. With menu systems and carts, you can get all those little parts and pieces and just slap them in and you're ready to roll. So, but compartmentalization, which is an object-oriented programming principle, is incredibly important. And that, I guess that's how I would answer the question. I don't know, there's probably better answers than that. But if you, now to answer the question a whole other way and call the previous person who was speaking, myself, a liar, is if I need to fix something quick in GTD and the boss is on me, I'm going to slap it in. Live in production, in Notepad. I'm going to do it. I've done it many times. So both answers are true. Just the dichotomy of your own existence, and you'll have to work through all of that. All right. Whew. What time is break or lunch?
Lunch is noon.
Okay, 45 more minutes. All right, we got this. All right.
But it's mostly in your control.
Okay, yeah, well. Let me pull up, I had a place I was going. Anybody else got any questions before I dig back in here and try to find something smart to put on the board? Live code. Yeah, actually, I need to be checking the Slack thing. I'm not doing that. Right. Oh, good. They've been Googling it. Yeah. All right. Div. All right. What did I do down here? With all right. All right. I'm going to go off the rails. I'm going to create a new text document, and I'm going to call it Dave's Magic CSS.css. I'm going to delete that little text thing so that doesn't mess me up. Of course, don't ask me questions. All right.
So your HTML file and your CSS file are all in the same folder?
Yes, because I am incredibly lazy. And I don't want to like type live path statements into the browser because that would make me look even dumber than I am right now. All right, because if you start going up and down folders, you're dealing with dot, dot, / and my eyes just glaze over and I just keep punching in dots until it works. And okay, I got it. Move on. And then like I'll never have to do it again for like 6 months and I'll completely forget how I did it before and ugh, just awful. All right. wish I could turn this off real quick so nobody could see me doing silly stuff. Anybody stuck? Is everybody getting table structures? Everybody kind of getting the resume typed out? Anybody need any help? We got guys sitting over here that can help you. Not me. I'm out of my depth.
You've been very helpful.
All right. All right, here he comes. Anybody have any idea what that is? Yeah, I'll get to it. Yeah, let's make sure everybody's set up for success before we get towards the lunch hour here. I'd hate for anybody to get fall behind when I can just sit here and kind of talk about stuff we've already gone over. Okay. Sir?
I think you should tell them that the placement matters. They're putting stuff in like the bottom and they expect it to go on the top.
Okay, so you mean the actual order of the table versus div. Okay.
Because someone thought
Yeah.
this one meant header.
No, that's good stuff. So you mean it's just the table or HTML in general?
In general,
Okay.
it would make more sense.
All right, let's talk about that. Order matters. So, you know, you do have the style tag and the head tag and the title tag, but it actually comes first in the text document, right? So the order that you actually put the stuff in will actually be the order that it gets rendered in the HTML document and in your web browser. So, you know, that's kind of the way, it's very linear. It's very, what's the word? Serial. It's a serial processor. You know, some languages, some things you do, it might jump around. You might be able to control parts and pieces of it. But this is a very serial, very linear kind of thing. So make sure you have the rows that you want in the order that you want them. Otherwise, it'll be all over the place. Okay. I'm just going to use my examples then.
Well, so here's how it works. This is a remote. Is the column.
That's America, I'm getting blown up.
Now you have 4 rows. Right? Yeah. 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 So what's happening is there's RC. Look you go, what have you done with you close it when you want it. Yeah.
Excuse me.
So, right
All right, everybody, show me what you got.
right. So you have to.
Don't be shy.
See, because you see if you touch any. So you don't go to each one.
Beautiful.
Good lord.
All right, you're getting next one.
So close this.
Why aren't you already ahead? Why don't you already have Twitter boots? Why don't you already have pay for it? Get it. Go get it. Nice. You're already there this time.
Close down and then just paste one there.
I thought it
No, close that, just to see what's going on. So, after that,
Get some. Let's do it.
because
I'm gonna do it. Slap it in there. Flowers, maybe some toke of real color. You got it.
close it.
So that's close.
Save it. Save it. Control that.
Okay.
Very good.
Take those hitters.
No, I did that.
And I was trying to explain two different things. Same. Yeah, but take it. Don't take it.
And I find
We do whatever you want. Alright. Table structures, you probably don't need those headers. You usually have it. Like, you only got anything last or just take the actual Control S, Alt Tab, F5. Now learn these programmer shortcuts. Control S, Control Z, Alt Tab. Hey, just go through and check and look at every single one of them. Because somebody's. That's awesome. Do it.
you want to use like
Take a look at all of them.
so title is
If they haven't worked ahead and Googled a whole bunch of stuff and stole somebody else's resume, y'all are fired. Alright. Control S, save it, right? Wow, Alt Tab. Left hand, put your thumb on
oh wait, you can't. I'm so confused. It's not title, it's okay, well, let's see what you can do.
Alright, so see how everything's going there? Function 12. You don't need it. That's not
You got anything? Sorry. You got anything? No, I'm
Get after it, man. You're gonna find out in a third time.
Basic.
Add some CSS.
So it'll send out anything that's
I like the breakdown. The horizontal one. Nice color. That's what
I love it when you say, hey, all that stuff is in. I'm not doing that. You see this QR tag stuck in there? That's right out there. Yeah, so you put take the structure this
Yep. Who the hell code from scratch? No one does that. I figured.
Your body should be up at the top.
Give him a 5.
Your body right there, take it out.
My one I'd see as it looks pretty much fast.
Yeah. The body is the body.
You should if you can.
Encompasses the entire body.
One of the end
See how you know you got the wrong here. Structuring on it. On yours, it's a suit stand. So what you want to do, the first thing you want to do is go back to the top. Make sure you just have that make it pretty. And then what happens when you make things pretty is the ugliness comes out. The missing pieces, the parts that are in the wrong place. You start to see that. And that happens, it's all like this. If I start speaking weird English, that lady back in the back, she's over.
Which ones? Many ladies in the back. I'll need help.
What you got, brother?
Okay. I don't do that now.
You got style. Code looks good.
It's green.
Nice. Cheap.
And I did
Nobody stole anybody else's
records. All right, what do you got?
Nice.
I'm done now.
Nice.
Hey, this is good. You get your life together. This is good.
Go back to your code.
Boom. What more do you need than that?
That's all I wanted.
You made it.
Man, if everybody's resume could be that huge, like, it just opens up into a page.
There it is.
You see
20 years
my
experience.
number.
I've also worked in the field for 15 years in catering. I worked many charities in Israel.
Is that all the link?
Yeah, it's easiest way to do it.
Yeah, check it out. Links. I can put that real quick. Post your tag if you like. So you got your like A tag, wherever you got your A tag, A for F, you gotta end that for A for F. Put like that.
Yeah. That forgiveness comes with
Make another little. Yeah, you do that arrow, and then you make another one like close H1. You close.
Well, it's because of the header tag. The header tag has space around it. Header, that is. It is a formatting thing. And you're going to see that be different between different browsers.
That's Control F5. Just click
Take
on
the
the
header tag out.
Boom.
Oh, sweet.
But now you're like, what do I include? What did we do wrong? I don't know why it wouldn't work.
No, you want to reduce it? So go into the minus. That's one way to do it. I'll just reduce the time. But once you do this, it won't show you anything, and you have to put
Okay,
it
so
in
there
the
must be some kind of thing.
So that's why you use it. You don't start it in week one. Because each on by default, you have your own graphic style.
Style. We didn't enter style yet. Yes, we did. Okay, so
You can try it here, but it's not going to stay.
so good. When I discovered that, I was trying to center it with this HTML.
Double click on it.
Yeah, capitalize this in your voice. I'll look right past you. Sorry. Well, not if you're lowercase in your eyes. How old am I? You know what? We didn't put anything there. So what we did wrong. We didn't put anything there. That makes sense, right? That makes perfect sense. You gotta put what it is. Okay. There it is. Now let's center it. Center.
Let me do that.
You're gonna do it. You got this aligned center.
Watch it. Here we go. Right, you go. Here it goes. I can't do it. I like to learn things. Alright, so if I go over here to email, and just hit, I'm going to put H1 tag.
Make that big. There you are.
Put one over here.
Sir?
Is it how they make the difference?
Oh, that we're doing a
Then
lab.
I can tell you.
No! That's what I'm talking about.
I'm sorry.
That's how you do it.
Okay. Lab time plus lunch, right?
So if I were,
Alright, since I have screwed this up already, so it's lab time until 1.
Until noon and then lunch.
Well, I mean, you can stay if you want to eat, work through anyway. So lunch is.
Stream back up at 1.
We'll set the stream back up at 1. We're going to do lab time right now until 12. You may go and get lunch at 12 and then be back at 1. Did I get that right? Okay. All right. And I guess I'm going to go ahead and stop the stream, right?
Well, just put it on the whole. Well, and actually, you're right.
Because they kind of heard me do
Go
that.
ahead and stop it, just so that we don't.